Another patch has landed for Bannerlord, and we have version 1.5.2 that just hit beta today. So I'm going to go through these patch notes here real quick. I'm just going to be totally upfront with you guys. Not a lot has changed. This is not a crazy big patch. So if you're looking for a super robust set of patch notes, this is mainly more of just like a, hey, here's a heads up. Here's what changed through this. I'm going to read it to you guys, maybe talk about a couple things. I'm going to actually be doing very minimal in-game stuff because the only thing to actually be added to the game or to have actually changed is a new Battanian Armor. So the hard and fast quick summary of this is it is a pretty big stability increase for the game. It fixed a lot of big major crashes. It helped a little bit with performance. It added a new Battanian Armor, fixed some texture issues that it seems that we're having with other items throughout the game. And then lastly, it did some texture streaming optimization to, in quote, reduce the size of the hard disk consumption of the game by 10 gigabytes. So that's your hard and fast summary, minute and 10 into this here. So if that's all you wanted from the patch notes, go ahead and close this video down. Before you do though, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, all that kind of stuff. It does really help me out a huge ton. But for those of you who want to go into the nitty gritty here, let's dive through these very small patch notes in beta branch 1.5.2. So scrolling down here, we can see that right out the gate, it's just a ton of fixes for crashes. So it fixed a save and load crash that occurred because of armies that were on invalid navigation mesh after map changes and had the wrong parties attached to them. A lot of people were saying that when they jump into or out of combat, it was causing their game to crash with 1.5.1. This has been fixed now with 1.5.2. Fixed a crash that occurred after a rival gang quest battle mission. Crash that occurred when creating a kingdom during a siege. Crash that happened when the Company of Trouble issue quest completed. And then fix a crash that happened when a party tried to disband and merge to a neutral city with prisoners that are in a war with the disbanding party's faction, but not on the war with the merged city's faction. And lastly, a crash that occurred with character or after character creation. So again, a little bit of a stability fix there with some crashes that were occurring for people. We also have a fix a crash that happened during saving. A lot of people were noting from 1.5.1 that they were encountering some crashes when they were going about saving their game. And hopefully this is the thing that fixed it. I don't know if it was something else that was hot fixed or what have you. So hopefully this is that big push. Some localization changes here for Chinese, for Turkish, and minor text and punctuation fixes. But the biggest one is removed old sheep model. Be gone with those bad sheep. I don't want any part of them in my life. Added new sheep models and animations. So for those of you that are in that kind of thing, you can now go all crazy on those sheeps on their individual dating app. But fixed lighting issue on one of the Empire towns, as well as some gate problems with an Azurai town. Tree size corrections were made. Minor texture improvements on the harness of Saddle of Aeneas. Added a new Battanian chainmail armor, and this armor is actually pretty sick. It'll be at the end of this video. I'll quickly show it off to you guys, as well as the new icons for some of the crafting resources that they've added to the game. But this is a pretty sweet Battanian chainmail, and they've been doing this for pretty much every version of 1.5. It's gotten some form of Battanian chainmail added to it, and I think this is actually a pretty positive improvement. Battania doesn't have a lot of, I guess, mid to late tier armor, or at least good mid to late tier armor. So I think that the nice thing about this is that it's adding that into the game to hopefully actually be added to some of the units in the game when Battania gets some form of refresh on all other units, if that ever happens, or if it does plan on happening. Some UI changes here: improved select ruler, policy, make peace, declare war, and expel clan decision panels in the kingdom decision pop-up. Fixed some localization issues and added new crafting material icons to the inventory. We'll go through those in just a little second here. Fixed an issue on siege tower connection to Khazate castle walls. Improvement on some of the Battanian villages. Battanian villages in general have been having a lot of issues even since the game just first came out. So the big thing here is if you have anything in group 5 or 6, be wary whenever you're jumping into a combat around a Battanian village, because that typically will warp them to the center. They said that they had fixed it, and it looks like they didn't fix it for every single map. So like I said, just kind of be mindful and wary if you have anything in groups 5 or 6 when you're jumping into those Battanian conflicts. Fixed a bug that caused sieges to continue in the background if a player became a prisoner during the siege. some character development stuff here. So in 1.5.1, they added the new barbers, and barbers are allow you to have hairs and beards that are custom to the culture in which you're talking to the barber. So for example, you go to Khazate, you talk to a Khazate barber, he'll have hair and beard or facial hair options that are unique to Khazate, or what the game feels is Khazate. And that removed the ability to just simply press V and access the ability to just change it through that menu. But with this 1.5.2, entering the character creator window with the V key is enabled again, but hair and beard options are kept limited to a few basic ones. Hairs and beards can be changed using the new barber NPC. So I think a lot of people were complaining about that for it was just kind of tedious. So this has now been just added into the game. Hopefully we'll start to get more or an expansion upon the character creator and adding age to our character, or changing the muscle mass like you can already do with the mod. So hopefully we can get that pretty soon. Fix missing perk description parts in non-English languages. Disabled infertility chance and instead introduced a pregnancy probability with every additional child. So it looks like it's giving us some diminishing returns rather than having your wife be either a baby maker or baby vacant. Fixed a bug that caused a governor companion to disappear from the governed city. Armies got a bug that was fixed that allowed players to pay 0 influence while asking lords to join their army through the dialogue option. That has now been fixed. With Kingdoms and Dynasties, fixed a bug that caused a settlement claimant decision to be proposed for enemy kingdoms, and a bug that was clearing old diplomatic states when joining a kingdom. That's kind of nice to no longer have that be an issue. Settlement actions fixed a bug that caused ally gang leaders to start the conversation with the wrong dialogue after the second phase of the fight. So if you're doing a lot of those ally gangs, that should now be a little bit more tightened up for you. Some quest issues that were fixed here, mainly with the notable Wants Daughters Found quest. Companions will get more scouting experience when completing this. Quest rewards, relation changes and renown changes, won't scale with issue difficulty, which is interesting. And the quest effects, quest giver power and town security, won't scale with issue difficulty. While searching for the daughter, the player's scouting skill amount will affect the quest. So if you've been doing notable Wants Daughter Found, which I think all of us really kind of do in some way or another, this seems to be kind of scaled and changed a little bit here. If players activate Rival Gang Leader quest and wait for the quest battle in the quest settlement, they will be directed to a new menu when the battle is ready. Fixed a bug that caused the Lord Needs Horses quest to end immediately after starting it, which is good, because I've said before, this is supposed to be part of a quest chain that a lord can give you, that an important head of a faction can give you. Fixed a bug that caused the Family Feud quest to fail after successful persuasion. Fixed a bug that allowed players to move and control the camera freely in a multi-agent conversation. Man, I wish I had that bug happen to me more often. Training field ranged agents were not shooting to entity targets. This was fixed. So a mounted trainee was also added to the training field. An option to disable map notifications was added in case that was kind of messing with your immersion. You can now just disable that in the options menu. Party speed now updates as soon as the day ends. This should resolve issues with the knight's movement penalty not being applied properly. Not being able to talk to prisoners between cell bars is fixed, and modding tool fixes in preparation of the eventual release. And hopefully we get that sooner rather than later. I know they were saying end of month in August, and I think now we're just kind of waiting to see when that hits. I know personally for me, Bannerlord was kind of slowed down a little bit until that massive modding tool rolls out. It's just going to completely change the game in my opinion. So I'm really stoked for it. I just really want it to happen. Automatic nav mesh generation improvements for the modding tools. It's interesting that we get patch notes for modding tools, yet not having any access to them. It's just kind of a weird thing to put into the patch notes. I think it's them trying to show us, hey, I promise we're working on it. Here's what we're doing behind the scenes. So at least they're trying to create some sort of transparency, I would imagine, with that. Some multiplayer changes. And then for both, we have ranged weapon calculation could cause application crash. This was fixed. Dropped equipment will no longer cause a crash. And also, here's the big one here. The format of streaming textures was changed. This improves texture streaming speed and reduces hard disk size of the game by 10 gigabytes. Mount and dismount animations and timings updated, and pushed mount mounts used to push back against agents to restore their original position. They now no longer do this and remain at their new start positions. So again, the patch notes are nothing crazy here. It's really a lot of stability fixes, a lot of bugs being cleaned up, and hopefully reducing some of the crashing that was introduced to a lot of people in 1.5.1. In my experience, 1.5.2 is stable and there's no real big problem with it. You don't need to start a new campaign. You don't need to do anything crazy here because, like I said, it's just simply stability additions and fixes across the board. There's no major sweeping things added to the game that would prompt you to make a new campaign. Let's jump real quick into the actual campaign or the game itself to show off that new Battanian Armor and those new icons for any craftable resource. Okay, and here we are. Thanks to the lovely cheat menu, I can access all the armor quickly. So we have the Highland Reinforced Mail over Tartan. It is in tier 5 armor. It's a pretty modestly priced. It's at about 9,609. 32 body armor, 8 leg, 4 arms. So a pretty solid addition here. And it looks badass. Let me take my shield off too. It looks really, really cool. I've really enjoyed a lot of the new additions to the equipment for Battanian, like I've said before. They're very thematic, they're very cool, and I'm really getting behind the increased kind of mid-tier range of armor for them. So I'm really enjoying this one. Looks pretty sweet. Get the new, this is the Highland chainmail that was added not too long ago. So a lot of different options here for the Battanians. Now, in addition, oh, this music was just crescendoed hard right there. We have the new icons for craftable items. So in the past, you had something that was very similar to this icon for the grapes, representing all types of ore. As you can see here, silver ore looks like actual silver ore, or in this case, a sheep. Silver ore looks like that. This is the new sheep texture. We can see that this is what steel looks like, Thaumaskene steel, wrought iron. So everything that is craftable is a larger icon, and it looks a lot nicer now. Iron, hardwood. As we scroll up, look at that goose. As we scroll up, you can see some fine steel, some crude iron. So now you'll be able to recognize it in your inventory a lot quicker, and you can just know, hey, this is what I don't want to sell, and you won't accidentally sell it because it looks very similar to any of the other trade good icons. But that concludes things here for our 1.5.2 patch. Like I said, there's nothing crazy added to the game, so if you want to go ahead and jump into it, go ahead and right-click Properties in the game library. On the Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord, click the Betas tab and opt into 1.5.2. If you are encountering any bug crashes with 1.5.1, this will hopefully fix those. And if you had your campaign on hold, this will allow you, like I said, hopefully to progress again with your campaign at 1.5.2. As always, guys, though, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, all that fun action. We will be diving back in hard onto Bannerlord once we get those big modding tools rolled out and some really fun mods to dive into. I'm kind of waiting to see if we get any really big sweeping changes in either 1.6 or 1.53 or 4 or whatever. I think I'm waiting for that big, huge critical change. We still do have a Volandian unit guide that's going to be coming out here pretty soon, and we'll start doing some streams again in the near future. Right now, though, I'm just kind of focusing on Crusader Kings 3, but don't worry, Bannerlord is near and dear to my heart, and I shall be playing plenty more in the future. But as always, again, thank you so much for watching, have a good one, and take care.